The Legend of Watermelon. Long ago, there lived a young man named Melon. He came from a distant land beyond the far southern seas. As a child, he was captured and sold into slavery. One day, merchants brought him to the kingdom of King Hung and sold him to the royal court. Melon learned to speak Vietnamese very quickly. He was intelligent and well-educated, able to remember many stories, understand worldly matters, and master a wide range of skills. Day by day, the king grew increasingly fond of him and kept him constantly by his side. When Melon reached the age of 35, he became a trusted court official. He was granted a private residence near the royal palace. His wife, the king's adopted daughter, bore him a son who was then 5 years old. Melon lived in comfort. His household was filled with servants, and rare foods and fine possessions were never lacking. Although his official authority was not great, people respected and even feared him. Many sought his favor. Yet where success exists, jealousy inevitably follows. Some secretly resented his high position. One day, during a banquet attended by many officials, the guests praised Melon without restraint. Smiling modestly, he replied, "It is nothing. Everything in my house is the result of my past life." He spoke naturally and without arrogance. In his homeland, people believed that happiness or suffering in one's present life was the result of good or bad deeds in a previous existence. However, among the guests were several officials close to the king who had long harbored ill will toward him. They seized upon what they interpreted as an arrogant remark and hastened to report it to the king. When King Hung heard this, he became furious. "How insolent!" the king roared. "If he dares to speak like this today, who knows how disrespectful he will become tomorrow? This treacherous slave must be punished. Throw him into prison." That very afternoon, Melon was cast into a dark dungeon. Only then did he realize that he had spoken carelessly. Quietly, he said to himself, "If I must suffer from this day forward, it is because of wrongdoing in a past life." Meanwhile, the officials gathered at court to decide his fate. Some demanded execution, others proposed harsh and cruel punishments. At last, an elderly official spoke. "He deserves death. But before that, he should fully understand that his wealth comes from the king's great mercy, not from any so-called past life. I have heard of a deserted island near Nga Son. Send him there with provisions for a short time, so that he may reflect upon his past life before he dies." King Hung agreed. "Give him only enough provisions for 1 season," the king ordered. On the day of exile, many people tried to dissuade Melon's wife from following him, yet she firmly insisted on going with her husband, carrying their young son with her. Everyone thought her decision foolish, but she trusted her husband's belief. If heaven gives birth to the elephant, it will also give grass. However, when she stepped onto the vast, desolate sandy shore, she could no longer hold back her tears and collapsed against her husband. "We will surely die here," she sobbed. Melon held their child and gently said, "Heaven always watches over us. Take heart. Do not worry." During the first month, their lives gradually stabilized. They sheltered in a rock cave, weaving bamboo mats to block the wind and dew. Fresh water flowed from a spring among the rocks. Salt came from the sea, but their supply of rice slowly dwindled. "If only we had a handful of seeds," they said, "we would have nothing to fear." One day, a large flock of birds flew in from the west and darkened the beach. They cried loudly, then dropped several seeds before flying away. Soon, creeping vines sprouted from the seeds and spread across the sand. Wherever the vines reached, green fruits appeared. Before long, the fruits swelled rapidly, becoming round and smooth, each as large as a human head. Melon picked one and cut it open. Inside was bright red flesh filled with shiny black seeds. The whole family tasted it and found it lightly sweet and refreshingly cool. Mai cried out with joy, "What a strange fruit! I have never seen anything like it. Let us call it the Western melon, for the birds brought it from the west, from the mainland to us. Heaven is sustaining us." From that day on, the couple planted many more melons. They planned to eat melon in place of rice in order to conserve their remaining grain. One day, a fishing boat drifted to the island. After helping repair its sails so the fishermen could return home, Melon gave them several melons to share with others. He asked them to bring rice in exchange. A few days later, the boat returned, carrying plenty of rice. From then on, their meals improved greatly. Sitting beside a steaming pot of white rice, my Auntie's wife hugged their child and whispered, "Heaven truly sustains us." The couple continued planting even more melons. Soon, fishing boats and merchant ships arrived one after another, bringing rice, clothing, livestock, tools, and seeds to trade for melons. The sailors said to my Auntie, "Never before has such a precious melon existed. In our land, people are willing to trade any amount of rice just to taste this watermelon." Within only a few years, the melon spread far and wide. The names of my Auntie and his wife became widely known. People honored him as the father of the Western melon. One day, King Hung scolded an official whose incompetence had resulted in a poorly built house. He sighed, "If only my Auntie were here." That day, the king spoke of him repeatedly. Twice he asked the officials where my Auntie might be. They replied hesitantly, "Perhaps he is no longer alive." But the king did not believe it. He ordered a servant to bring supplies and a boat to search for my Auntie in Ai Chau. 1 month later, the servant returned with a boat full of Western melons. "These are gifts from my Auntie and his wife," he said. He told the king of their hardships and of their present prosperity. King Hung was astonished. So his words were true after all, the king said. His fortune truly came from his own efforts. The king immediately sent soldiers to bring the couple back. My Auntie was restored to his former position and rewarded generously. To this day, the island is known as Auntie Beach. His descendants continued living there and formed My An village. A temple was built on the site of his former home to honor him and his wife. The people remember them forever as the ancestors of the watermelon.